Friends, good afternoon. I am Roger Klein, one of the rabbis here at the Temple-Tifereth, Israel, and it's my pleasure to welcome you, those who are here live, and it's so good to see so many of you here with us this afternoon, and those of you who are tuning in via live stream. We have a special afternoon of music for you, a performance by harpist Juan Riveros. This performance is sponsored by our Temple High Lifers group, which presents to our Temple membership and our community many wonderful cultural and social programs. The High Lifers is under the direction of both Barbara Kuby and Candy Anchor, and we appreciate their devotion. This program this afternoon has been organized by Elaine Berg, and Elaine, we're just so grateful to you for your hard work on preparing for this day. Some of you were at the performance of Juan Riveros several months ago, performed by himself at the Maltz Museum for the Performing Arts, and we all enjoyed it very much and are looking forward to another fine afternoon of music. Before I introduce Juan, I want to again thank those of you who are here with us to enjoy this program. A few brief words about Juan. He is currently pursuing a PhD in music theory at the University of Michigan. Among his many accolades, which he has earned already in his young career, include the Texas Young Master Award, the Young Arts Merit Award in Classical Music and Harp. He has also won the grand prize of the Louisville Lake International Concerto Competition and the winner of the 2022 Lion and Healy Awards. Mr. Riveros holds a bachelor's and master's degrees from the Cleveland Institute of Music in harp performance and musical theory. He is also a graduate of the Interlochen Arts Academy, and his orchestral experience includes engagements with the National Youth Orchestra of the United States of America, the Cleveland Institute of Music Orchestra, and the Youngstown Symphony Orchestra. In addition to harp performance, Mr. Riveros maintains a private studio devoted to creating a thorough approach to playing the harp. And among the pieces that he is going to perform for us this afternoon is one of his own composition. So, without further ado, join me please in welcoming Juan Riveros.
Thank you all. Thank you all so much. It is such a pleasure to see so many people here in person. And this is also a very special performance for me because it is my last performance while I'm living in Cleveland full time. On Wednesday, I am making the move to Ann Arbor before I start my PhD there. And so I'm very excited to be presenting this music, a very personal music that I really enjoy. Elaine asked me to prepare all of my personal favorites, so that's what you're in for. An afternoon of kind of my favorite things to play at the harp. A majority of my program today is devoted to the music of Spain, Latin, and South America. These are original compositions for the harp. Oftentimes when we see harpists preparing these programs, there are a lot of transcriptions and works that aren't originally written for the instrument. And I wasn't really concerned with that. I was like, let's dig into the music that we actually have for the instrument. So the first two pieces both come from Spain. I'll be starting with Españoletas, written by Lucas Ribayaz. This comes from our earliest Baroque resource for the harp. It was specifically written for the Baroque Spanish harp and guitar. And there's a variety of original compositions written for these two instruments that could be played on either. And the Españoletas, when I listened to kind of the whole book of music, it stood out to me for its very innate sense of dance. Even though it's not necessarily a very fast movement, it still captures that Spanish rhythm within the structure of the music. So the way that I've approached this piece is I will be playing the original music as was written by Riveros in the first statement, and then the second statement of that same idea is going to be much more embellished and ornamented, kind of within the Baroque style. So this is Españolatas by Riveros. Thank you. Thank you. This next piece also comes to us from Spain, and even though I just said I wasn't going to do transcriptions in this program, this is actually all music that I prepared for the past USA International Harp Competition. So for the past 2 years, I've been preparing all of this repertoire. It's 4 stages of music total, and included within the first round was this piece by Manuel that I'm about to play for you all. This is the Spanish dance from the opera La Vida Breve. Although it wasn't originally written for the harp, instead the challenge that we kind of have to grapple with this piece musically is bringing all of the same elements of drama from the opera into just the scope of the harp. So this is just about a 4-minute dance from the opera, and within it we kind of encompass a bunch of different musical ideas from the opera, and really taking us through a journey of all the Spanish drama that's just so inherent to the music. So I hope you enjoy. This is the Spanish dance by Manuel de Falla. Thank you. So a little bit more about the harp before I go too far deep in just all the Latin American stuff. This harp just came to me about 3 months ago now. It is a Line and Healy model harp designed after Carlos Salcedo. This is a Salcedo model instrument. For those of you who watched the live stream earlier in February, I was performing on a similar instrument. It was the same model, but it was all natural, and that was the school instrument from CIM. So I'm very lucky to now be the proud owner of this instrument. I hope you like how it sounds. I love how it sounds. Thank you. The harp has a total of 47 strings. The range is just about an octave less than a piano. And similar to the piano, we do have pedals at the bottom of the instrument, but they don't quite do the same thing. So if you notice, especially in the Defia, I was moving my feet a lot, kind of tap dancing down there. And that's because we use all of the pedals to control the sharps and flats on the instrument. So we have one pedal for every note in the scale, and so we're able to achieve 3 different pitches for every string. So for example, we have C flat, C natural, and C sharp. So we're able to control all the sharps and flats just by moving our feet down at the bottom to control all of those half steps. And also all of the strings, so for those who are in person, I'm sure you can see that there are red strings, kind of clear, or white strings, and then the black or blue. And I think it's probably a little bit clearer for those on the live stream. But for every color means something different. So all of the red strings on the harp are Cs. All of the blue and black strings are Fs. That way we're able to just have all of the musical notes within that without kind of these markers of which string we were playing. We would all be a little bit lost, I think, if we didn't know what string was which. So that's just kind of there to help us know and understand what we're playing. The next 2 pieces that I will be sharing this afternoon are by Mexican composer Arturo Marquez. He is still alive and with us and composing, I believe. He is most well known for his piece Danzón No. 2 for orchestra. It's kind of the staple piece of Mexican repertoire within orchestral performance. But many people don't realize he was actually married to a harpist. And in that time that he was married to this harpist, he wrote a lot of really great repertoire for the instrument, including these 2 pieces. The first one, it's Sarabanda and Son are the 2 movements. The Sarabanda is a very lyrical and lush piece that I really love playing, especially opening a program with, just because it showcases kind of the depth and richness of the harp within Marquez's own compositional language. Whereas the Son, I think, captures much more of the kind of fabric of Mexican music. It's much more lyrical, but still captures that same essence of dance, and the prevalence of dance rhythm is throughout the entire piece and what guides the entire movement. So I hope you enjoy. This is the Sarabanda and Son by Arturo Marquez. Thank you. This next piece is a longer work written by Alberto Ginasera. Ginasera was an Argentinian composer, and especially with the harp, he is most well known for his harp concerto. It is kind of a very contemporary piece that has really made itself in the harp repertoire as kind of one of our staples. But many people don't realize that he actually wrote this sonatina for the harp much earlier in his career. He wrote this whenever he was about 23, and he actually withdrew it from his catalog because he didn't like it. But there were a couple of harpists who had the score, and so there were rumors of this piece that floated around for almost 100 years. And it wasn't until the very beginning of COVID, actually, in March of 2020, whenever Boozy and Hawks, a big music publisher, published the sonatina for harp. So now we are lucky enough to have this piece accessible for us to perform, and so I've decided to really dig into it and showcase this piece for the harp. The first movement is the Preludial, and it's a very lyrical and light opening to the work. In all of Ginasera's music, there's such an influence of his own folk music and folk rhythm from Argentina, so prevalent in everything that he wrote, and we hear the most of it, I think, in the first movement. The second movement is a very beautiful aria, and similar to his influence from Argentina, Ginasera loves to kind of either quote or mimic the guitar in his writing. So in all of the second movement, you'll hear the left hand doing these rolled chords lower in the string so they sound drier and capture more of the effect of a guitar, while we have the melody presented in harmonics above that. The last movement is the toccata, and it's a huge contrast to the first two movements in that it's much more kind of angular and dissonant. One of the main ideas and motives from the harp concerto actually comes from the last movement of this sonatina. So we owe kind of one of our biggest staples in the harp repertoire to this very early work of his, and I'm very excited to be sharing it with you all today. This is the Ginasera Sonatina for harp. Thank you. So now to tie up at least the Latin portion of my program, I will be performing, as Rabbi Klein mentioned, my own composition. This is my concert fantasy on Pajaro Campana. So Pajaro Campana is a folk tune from South America, and my dad is originally from Chile. And so when I first started playing the harp, he always knew and associated the harp with this particular folk tune. It's just kind of what the harp is known for, not only in South America, but in so many parts of the world, especially with the Paraguayan harp. And so as I started playing the harp about, 12 and a half years ago now, across that time I learned and worked on this folk tune from time to time. And it wasn't until about 3 years ago when I decided that I really wanted to pay homage to both my heritage and my instrument in some fashion. And so I thought, what better thing to do than to put together a concert fantasy on this folk tune? So that's what I did. The opening section of this piece pulls on traditional elements of how it's played in South America. The title itself, Pajaro Campana, means the bellbird. So the way that this piece is what kind of inspired this piece is the bellbird in South America that's so common that always you can hear at a distance. And so the way that this piece opens, it mimics that kind of bird call, and it's kind of devoted to this bellbird. And so the opening pulls on traditional approaches to how this piece is played. I've included a little bit of a cadenza to bridge the opening section with the middle section, or the final section, in a fashion that's very reminiscent of what we kind of know and understand the harp for in classical settings. And then the last section I like to call kind of the remix. I take the opening bass rhythm from the traditional folk tune itself and transform it into a tango, while I kind of really ornament and embellish the melodic line on top. And I think what I've tried to really do is capture the same energy that we have in South America whenever we have the harp playing this piece. We're usually accompanied by an entire mariachi band behind us. Unfortunately, I don't have that with me today, but that's kind of why I wanted to put this arrangement together as well, is to have something that really showcases my cultural background and all of the energy and joy that accompanies it through the lens of the harp. So I hope you enjoy. This is my concert fantasy on Pajaro Campana. So what do we think? Do we like the Latin American music at the harp? Yes. Okay, great. Then I've done my job. So that is all for the Latin American music on the program. The last two pieces are kind of the really fun, scary ones for me, but still very, very fun. This next piece that I will be playing is the Sicilian Variety by Jean-Michel Damas. He was a French composer who only passed away in 2013. He wrote a lot of really, really wonderful music for the harp, as his mother was a very prominent harpist, Michel Kahn. And what I love so much about this piece is that it captures so many different levels of dialogue within the piece, and kind of as a performer and having to interpret it, sharing the different layers of this music with you all. So the piece opens with the primary theme of the music presented in just harmonics. So that's when we pluck the string at the halfway point while simultaneously muffling to get that first overtone. Really beautiful effect. So the entire melody is presented like that, just in harmonics at the very opening of the piece. And then the rest of it takes off with just that opening idea. The entire piece develops and transforms that opening into a variety of different presentations that still follow the same opening idea. And this unfolds into so many different layers of dialogue. On a very fundamental level, it sounds and feels like the harp is having a conversation within itself. There's so many lines that weave in and out of each other just within the instrument that the piece kind of brings our attention to that. The next layer is kind of thinking about the harpist and the instrument communicating as one within this piece. The harp is a very intimate instrument to play in that the point of contact is so immediate. We have no other medium besides our own fingers coming in contact with the strings to make sound. So this piece really allows us to tap into using the harp kind of as an extension of ourselves to, share these different layers of the music. The next layer are kind of the harpist and the instrument together as one, communicating with the audience, which is everyone here and on the live stream. And then kind of at the uppermost layer of this dialogue, the piece has this certain air of nostalgia to it that makes us feel, so many people who listen to this at least have shared with me that it makes them feel very nostalgic and have so many good memories or reminisce about things, beautiful things that they've had in their life. So part of why I wanted to program this piece today was because this is kind of the end of a really wonderful chapter for me in Cleveland. And I learned this piece while I've been here. I was first introduced to it when I first started my studies here. And I thought, what better place and time to share this piece that makes me feel complete and nostalgic about wonderful things than my last recital in town. So I hope you enjoy. This is the Sicilian Variety by Jean-Michel Damas. Thank you. Thank you all again so much for coming out to this program today. Again, it's very, very meaningful to be presenting this today and, again, capping off my time in Cleveland. If you can't tell, I'm really, really bummed about this. But it's going to be a really exciting new chapter. It's just hard to leave so many of the people who I see here in the audience that I've known for so long. And of course, the support of the incredible community here in Cleveland. Thank you to Rabbi Klein and Elaine Berg for having me here, and of course the Temple-Tifereth. Thank you all, everyone here, for attending and being audience members. I can't tell you how fulfilling it is for me to be sharing this music with other people, and I appreciate you so, so much for coming out to this performance. Thank you. This last piece that I will be performing today is a fantasy on themes from Peter Tchaikovsky's opera Eugene Onegin. Now, for myself, what I love so much about this piece is, again, similar to the Defiance, it's capturing all the same dramatic elements from the opera within the scope of just this one piece for the harp. And it pulls on so many more, many more ideas in the opera than the Defiance fantasy did. But this one is a little bit more fleshed out, a little bit more of a concert piece for the harp. So playing it is already a joy. And this was actually the first piece that I started working on when I came to Cleveland 5 years ago. This was the first thing that me and my teacher, Yolanda Condenasis, really sat down and dug into. I performed it on the CIM studio recital in December of 2017. Here we are, July of 2022, still doing the same piece. But it's just because I love it. I love what it's represented to me and all of my time here in Cleveland, especially studying with Yolanda. And it's just one of those feel-good pieces that is going to be stuck in your ear, hopefully the rest of today and all of next week. So without further ado, thank you again so much for coming to this performance, and I hope you enjoy the Eugene Onegin Fantasy by Tchaikovsky.
Juan, thank you so very much for that superb program. Thank you. We wish you a lot of luck in your future and your doctoral studies. I hope you won't forget us.
Oh, I won't.
And come back and perform for us some more. We love the way you embrace your instrument and your quiet passion in presenting elements of that enlighten us about the pieces. So you've got lots of gifts.
Thank you.
And we're thinking about you for a wonderful future. Thanks so much to everybody for coming today.